Welcome to the Summerhouse Sessions with Inverness gigs. Today we are joined by international artist Orit Shimoni, and we're also joined by local artist Hamish Roberts. We're wondering, being international, from the Inverness audience, not many people will know of you. I was
Right.
wondering if you would be able to tell people a bit about yourself and your music.
Well, that's a very vague, sort of open question that I never really know how to start answering because I don't know what people would want to know specifically. But
I suppose you've toured a lot and you've a huge experience in touring and music. So maybe if you gave us a bit of information of your road story.
Yeah. I did music, was busy with it one way or another my whole life, and didn't really start performing until I was old enough to sort of play in bars and things like that. And I would find little gigs here and there and just got started without any particular ambition. I just really wanted to do it. I loved singing. And then it just got more and more serious as I went. So I tried to live a normal life, and it just... the call of playing music got stronger and stronger, and the circumstances around me just opened up to me being able to perform more and more. And then one day I just decided, it wasn't one day, but it felt like it was a one-day decision, like I'm just gonna see what it feels like to do this full time, because if I don't give that a chance, I'm gonna regret it later. I'll have that feeling of I'll never know what it could have turned into. So I thought I would take 1 year, and that was 11 years ago.
So you've been on the road since
I've been on the road since. I ended up moving to Berlin for 1 year and getting very involved in the music scene there, and then I had to go back to Canada because my visa ran out, and then I just kept touring and never ended up looking for an apartment again. So yeah. Yeah,
I'd seen you'd done some videos in Berlin,
yeah.
And it's quite different from what I seen at the weekend at the Wildwoods Festival. It's almost like got a 1950s feel.
Those two videos are from an album that I recorded in Toronto, and that's got a bunch of blues and jazz musicians on it from Toronto that gave it that kind of flavor. So this more like vintage blues sounding, and when I tour solo, so it never really sounds like that particular album. That's the one kind of side project almost.
You look like an exciting time. It's quite I really enjoyed watching the videos.
Yeah, and those were done by a friend of mine there who's actually from Spain. Her name is Ana Diaz, and it was just a joy to work together because she chose the songs that she wanted to do,
right.
Which meant she was creatively invested in them, and then we sat and kind of storyboarded it, and we realized, I'd never really thought about it before, but if you make a music video, you have to provide one particular interpretation, and the whole point of songwriting is that it's open for people to interpret. So it was a really fine line of like finding a way to present it visually without narrowing the interpretation too much, and it was a really interesting creative process to do that. I think she did an amazing job.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Fantastic videos. And you've been touring all over the world, and you're now here with us in Scotland. So how did your sort of mini collaboration with Hamish develop over here?
Yeah, well, the joy of playing solo and touring solo is that I'm open to play with other musicians in different cities. So that does happen in different towns, that I just meet other musicians and there's a good click musically, and I can tell right away that they can, because some musicians would have to have like multiple rehearsals to even get on stage with you, and some can just have the ear and feel to fall into it really quickly. So I do have that joy in my life of collaborating with different musicians. Hamish I met through Rob Ellen, who has helped a great deal organize this UK tour, and has also been chauffeur in his caravan, otherwise called the Moose. And so Hamish joined us in Manchester, and he's worked with Rob in the past as well, and so he just kind of rode along with us from Manchester onwards. I got to see his guitar playing and his performance because he did opening sets along the way, and I thought, I don't know how many shows it took us to kind of go, yeah, why don't you just get on stage with me? It's going to work. And so we've played a few now as Hamish as the sideman, and it's lovely. It's joyful for me to have other musicianship going on other than me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would you like to play us a wee tune?
Yes, and having just spoken about Hamish, I think you should sit in. I'm going to do a song called Song for the Awkward, because we were talking before the interview about how some performers just look like they're so confident and together and outgoing and extroverted, and then you put them in another situation and they're quite shy and frozen. So this goes out to anybody who's awkward. If they don't know by now what is clear, they will never know. Just shrug your shoulders and bring them back down low. If you can't hold still when somebody is looking on, find a quiet moment in a quiet place. You can reach and pretend that you've always known such grace. If it moves you too much to have somebody too close, you can keep your own keys, you can manage your own damn dose. Keep 'em wanting more. That's what all this is for. Give them hell, then close the door.
That was absolutely lovely.
Oh, thank you very much.
Take all my time not to woo. I'm a wooer. I think I say that in every film, but I always feel it's quite a privilege. Before David started helping me, I always felt that it was just like I was getting a private.
You're being
concert,
serenaded.
in my own Summerhouse, so it's absolutely smashing.
Oh, cheers.
So, what parts of your tour so far have stood out for you?
Of the
in
UK part. Oh, well, first of all, I've been wanting to come out here for so many years, and it's just a little bit trickier than the rest of Europe because I do need a work permit. to come here, and so I just didn't know how one works that out, and I'm terrible at just asking people, hey, how do you do this? And everything just got lined up well. The scenery has just been breathtaking. I'm just and being driven. I mean, this is a completely different experience than the usual way that I tour, because I usually do it all by public transit, and I'm completely alone going from place to place. So this has been like a fun road trip with pals, which is a completely different experience, and with someone who knows the area. So it's really like Rob's been a great tour guide and pointing out all the like historical facts around every place and stopping for ice cream, and you know, it's just it's been really fun. It's yeah, not that the other ways of touring aren't fun, but it's just I'm always so serious, and the actual travel part for me is usually quite reflective. It's the only time I have alone, because I stay in people's homes all the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my processing thinking time, and this has just been like pure silliness and laughter and lots of filming and just snacks, lots and lots of snacks. Tesco's got good gluten-free products, so it's just been this entirely different experience than anything I've ever done before.
Yeah, because travelling as a musician, a single musician on your own, unlike a band, can be quite a lonely affair.
It is. I mean, it's I'm not really alone ever, because I stay in people's homes. It's not like I'm staying in hotels or anything, so I'm surrounded by people all the time. The loneliness I feel is that there isn't anyone to witness more than one thing at a time with me.
Yeah.
Right? So I've got all these friends in the one show or the one segment of tour where I stay in one town, and that catch-up session with the friends I'm staying with. But then as I move to the next place, there's no one to kind of join me on the journey part of it, or notice the coincidences that I notice on the road, or just experience more than one show with me at a time. So that's been really interesting. It's been great for the most part. It's also been like, oh, that's just very different. Some things are off-putting about it, like if I tell the same joke 3 nights in a row at a show, normally nobody knows that but me, right? So now there's like, shit, they've heard this story before. Will they think I'm being inauthentic? So and there's certain things I've been more self-conscious about having kind of travel companions, but for the most part it's just been I might be quite sad to go back to my usual ways. Yeah, it's nice to know that it's possible to do both though, and that roughing it and just kind of like, God, hygiene's gone out the window, just the 3 people sleeping in one little vehicle. Like, it's just, and I have no problem with that part. It's just fun. It's made me feel kind of like youthful in a nice way.
Yeah, you were saying just before about the fact that if you have somebody following you, they hear you saying stories again. Yeah. I know a lot of you musicians, and I've seen a lot of musicians play again and again.
Right.
And you do hear the same stories, but the stories that they tell that are the same are the stories about their songs. Mm-hmm. Is there one of your songs that you feel is a very important story to yourself?
All the songs have a story. I don't remember where I wrote every single one of them or what the circumstances that led to it, but they're all so deeply personal that the song I'm going to sing and the story I'm going to tell is the one time that it wasn't personal, because it created such a different type of song, and there is a good story behind it. A friend of mine was walking down the street in Toronto, and he looked down at the ground and saw a piece of paper, and he bent over and looked at it, and it said, "Dear Marla," and that's the only thing that was written on it. And he took a photo of it, put it on Facebook, and I saw it that way, and my head kind of exploded with the curiosity about what's going on in this piece of paper. Why is there this piece of paper, and who's Marla? Who's the person writing this letter to Marla? Why are they writing a letter to Marla? And why have they not finished it? Why did they throw away the page? And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I knew that I would never find out, and it was going to drive me crazy. So I thought, okay, the only thing I can do is come up with a story myself, which I'd never done before. I'd never dabbled in fiction. It was never something I felt a calling to do. I had no interest in it. I like very sincere, authentic expression. that is hopefully relatable to other people. Like, it shouldn't be too deeply personal, but this was such a different thing because I had to write a story with characters, and did one night. I just brainstormed what was going on in this situation with this piece of paper, came up with 3 different things, couldn't choose between them, and so kept each of them for the song. So each verse is a different telling of what's going on behind this Dear Marla. And it has become so deeply personal because through the characters I was able to say a lot of my reflections and perceptions of how human beings interact with each other. So. Dear Marla, you don't know me, but I'm your mother. I've been sorry for your whole life, that I gave you to another. And I've only written 2 words, tears are flowing, I gotta have a smoke. No, I wish I could have kept you, but my life then was a joke. And Marla, I've imagined meeting you someday. I just can't write this letter, I'm afraid of what you'd say. Marla, don't know who you are, don't know who I am either, just dust from the stars, birds in a cage, words on a page. I have no idea, but I'd say it's safe to gauge you're just like the leaves in the trees, deserving of attention as you blow through the breeze. Dear Marla, you don't know me, but I see you every day, and I watch you pour the coffee from outside your small cafe. And I only know your name because I heard somebody yell it loud. I think it was your boyfriend, you didn't seem too proud. Marla, I'm not the stalking type, just think you could date nicer guys. You smiled my way once, must have been sun in your eyes. And Marla, don't know who you are, don't know who I am either, just dust from the stars, birds in a cage, words on a page. I have no idea, but I'd say it's safe to gauge you're just like the leaves in the trees, deserving of affection as you blow through the breeze. Dear Marla, hope you're feeling okay. I've been meaning to write, work just gets in the way. Marla, what I did wasn't right. I should have listened better, but I ain't always too bright. And it's a lie what they say about getting more confident with age. I just can't write this letter. I'll probably just toss the page. Marla, don't know who you are, don't know who I am either. Just dust from the stars, birds in a cage, words on a page. I have no idea, but I'd say it's safe to gauge. You're just like the leaves in the trees, deserving of love as you blow through the breeze.
It's a lovely song. It's very appropriate today with the sun now shining,
Yeah.
and it does have that float upon the breeze.
Hmm.
My next question is kind of based at you individually, and how do you feel when you pick up your guitars and you play a song and you sing, whether it be here or at home or at a gig? How do you feel?
I don't know how common it is to be a musician and not really pick up the guitar very often when I'm not, unless I've got a performance. So the only time that I do that is if I'm working on a new song, and then it's obviously an incredibly thrilling feeling to be working out some new creation that's just come through your mind for whatever reason, and just working it out. So there's a focus to it that's there's nothing like it. But I don't really think of myself as a guitar player. It's just something I picked up and taught myself how to do so that I'd have something to go along with me singing. Obviously getting up on stage and doing it is quite a different thing, and that there's it's a bit like, you know, going and changing into your Superman costume. Like there's just something that happens when you plug in and you're on, and everything locks into place. And 10 years in, I've done it with like bronchitis, I've done it with stomach aches, I've done it with back and knee problems, and it just something that just takes over, and it's transcendent. It's hard to talk about it without sounding full of myself, but there is definitely something that's meant to be feeling about it whenever it's plugged in and ready to go. And recording as well, it's just this incredibly focused, this is going to be the definitive version of this song. And I remember the first time I recorded, having the headphones on and hearing the record as it was coming out of all of our collective fingers, and just thinking, this is outside of regular time. So it's quite a magical connection for sure.
Yeah. Hamish, how's your feeling? How do you feel when you pick up your guitar? How do you feel about it?
The guitar and singing are very different for me, and like Orit was saying, when it's in a performance context, there's something really, really special about it. If I'm in a vocal booth, I hate being in a vocal booth, and just repeating take after take. But when it comes to the guitar, there's never a moment when I don't pick it up and just absolutely love it. You know, it's just that same fresh feeling, apart from that few months when I'd graduated and finished studying, when it was burnt out for a while. But it's back again, thankfully.
Well, you can see it when you play, because it just flows.
Yeah.
There is this kind of joyfulness in the way you play. That's quite lovely.
And so that people can recognise you, quite often busk on Inverness High Street.
I
You
do,
quite
yeah.
often see you there. And you cover wide range of different types of style and where you play. What sort of places stand out to you? Where would be like your home place to play? Where is that for you?
Like in terms of a venue?
Venue, or even if it's, for me it's under that bench, under that
bench.
tree over there. Different people have a place where they feel it's their home when they play.
I guess in terms of practicing, there's a very similar setup to what you've got here in the back garden at my folks' house in Inverness. So I do a lot of writing there, especially in the evening time. In terms of busking, probably the cross between Buchanan and Sauchiehall Street was a kind of home place for a while, and now it would be the middle of Inverness High Street, just where the steps are.
Yeah, is there anywhere where you've been out and busked and you've thought just the sound here or this spot here, even though it may not be the busiest, is just the place that you would want to hear yourself?
Yeah, I guess Glasgow Buchanan Street, right up at the top, there's a kind of natural amphitheatre in front of the Royal Concert Hall, and people can sit and have their lunch and just sit in the sun, and you can sit down and start playing, and you start building up an audience. So I guess it's difficult to find a kind of situation like that anywhere else,
I'd like to play another song together.
Yes.
Sure.
Right. We've been having a lot of fun playing an older song of mine called "You Can't Stop This Train Anymore," and I ride the train all the time in Canada. There's a gig to be had where you perform on board for people, and so when I first started doing that, and it goes all the way across from Toronto to Vancouver, so it's a 5-day ride, playing 2 or 3 sets a day, and you kind of have to do some train-related songs for the tourists and train fanatics that ride this incredibly long journey. And it was that which prompted me to think, like, I should have a train song or two as well, because I'm on it all the time.
That's absolutely fantastic. So, I was wondering if you would be able to tell everybody what your up and coming plans are for this tour, and what your up and coming plans for the future are.
We are playing tonight at, I believe it's called Wasp's Art Gallery in Nairn.
Right.
And then tomorrow we've got, is it Ardesir? Is that how you pronounce it?
Ardesir
Ardesir.
International Folk Festival.
Thank you. Folk Club,
Folk
I think.
Club,
Yeah.
there you go.
That's pretty. This is the first tour where I haven't had to memorize all of my tour dates because I don't have to do the looking up bus and train schedules. So people have asked me where I'm playing, and also there's names of towns and venues that I've never heard before, and I tend to just sort of look like, right, where do I have to be tonight and where do I have to be tomorrow, because it's just so many details otherwise. But I'm quite proud of the fact that I remember the names of where we're playing tonight and tomorrow, and then on June 20th. I have to fly back to Canada because on June 21st I have a show in Montreal, and I've got my Canadian dates to play and enjoy again. Then I come back to Europe in October for a German tour and a Dutch tour in November, and I'm seriously scheming and trying to figure out. I will be back in the UK next August and September. That's a fact that I have now said out loud a few times. I've been booked into a little wee festival, so I'm definitely coming back. And now I've got a year to plan it and make a big to-do about it. So, and my 10th album should be out by then as well. So.
Do you have a name for your album?
No, it's out. It's mastered. It's really ready to go. But the title and the artwork are still up in the air, and I'm going to release it in the spring, I think. So. Okay. There's time, but I'll be back with it. So people can join. I have a newsletter that you can sign up to on my website or Facebook, and they'll not miss a beat if they do that.
That's absolutely fantastic. I was wondering if you would play us a song out?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to do a song from my latest album, which is called Lost. Hallelujah was also from that album, but this is a song from my latest album, which is called Lost and Found on the Road to Nowhere, and it was recorded in Holland with a lovely Dutch musician by the name of Martin van de Vrucht, and it's the whole album really feels like it's my most road album, because the collection of songs on it and the sound itself somehow really represents the kind of the highs and lows, the existential angst involved, and the just but really feeling lost and found all the time, living this way, and very much thanks to the people that I keep meeting along the way. I just have this ever-growing perspective on life and what it means to be a human being, which feeds my songwriting constantly. So a friend of mine asked me if I get a lot of reading done, and I shamefully said, yeah, not really anymore. And then she said, I guess you don't have to, because you're meeting people and their stories all the time. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly right. It's like reading or watching movies, only it's real life. This is called Where to Begin. I get choked up. There've been wars and far too many loves, which I've given up. Beautiful people, beautiful places. There's heartache to go with each one of their faces. I always laugh. People
That's absolutely lovely. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure.
You've got quite a musical bond there. The
Oh,
bit of
totally.
music comes across really well.
Yeah, it's just such a joy to play with someone who's got just a good instinct and is attentive. That's really lovely to know that. It's a trust that I have to put in somebody if I invite them on stage with me, and I don't do that with everybody that says they can play guitar. He's got a really good feel. I can talk about you in second person. You've got a lovely feel and intuition about where songs are going, and he also knows to hold back when he's not sure where it's going. And see, so many just kind of step on your toes when you invite them up. So yeah, it's been a very wonderful experience playing with Hamish.
Thank you very much for today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to seeing you back next year.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to come back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having
Thank you.
us. Yeah, cheers.